you know the meaning behind this Easter egg? Or what about this one? Well, I found the 31 most secret Easter eggs in the Demon Slayer anime. Like, when Tanjiro and the boys first walk into the Mugen train, the camera briefly cuts to the passengers, but the crazy part is that this passenger looks exactly like human Nezuko. She has an extremely similar face and is even wearing an identical outfit. And if you look closely at the opening credits of the entertainment arc, you can see who owns the houses that Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke infiltrated later on in the show. And the opening even has cameos of characters that appear later, like the creepy dude that Inosuke accidentally punched, and the man that got his hand cut off by Daki. After looking closely at this scene in the intro, I noticed something else that you probably missed. The buff little mice on the bottom right corner, while Inosuke was leaping from rooftop to rooftop. It makes sense that they get a cameo in the intro since they're Lord Tengen's flashy helpers. And the picture of Tanjiro that is used for the intro of the entertainment arc is the exact same as the one that was used in the Mugen Train intro as well. Here are the two side by side. Yeah, these look identical. There's a huge fan theory saying that the people facing left are the ones that survive, while the people that face right are the ones that die. Though, we'll have to wait until season 3 to see if this pattern continues or not. But do you remember this scene? Rengoku kept on saying over and over again, and there's a really dark reason for this. In old Japan, warriors were taught to savor every bite of their food because it might be their last. Rengoku wasn't just being energetic and funny, he was savoring every bite of his final meal. These last 5 moments were the level 1 Easter eggs I found, but let's move on to the next level of even crazier Easter eggs. When Gyutaro is beating up Tanjiro later on in the show, he calls him insults like, but there's actually a secret reason he says these. Back when Gyutaro was a human, these are the same insults that the village kids used to call Gyutaro while bullying him. And during that same fight, Tanjiro cuts off one of Daki's legs, and that's when it starts to get weird. See, when Daki regenerates her leg, you can see that the part of her pants also regenerates. Is this a mistake, or are the very clothes she's wearing actually a part of her body? This might mean that she has the ability to change her outfit at will, and maybe that's why she's wearing something completely different in the Chinese version of Demon Slayer. You see, China has way stricter anime rules than the rest of the world, which means they censor things like the way that Daki dresses. And the same thing happened with Tengen's 3 wives. In the regular anime, they're dressed in revealing clothing, but in the Chinese version, their clothes are edited to be a bit more modest. But regardless of what they wear, these ladies are extremely talented fighters. And that's why you can see Daki huddled up in the corner of this room when Tengen approaches Gyutaro. She had gotten absolutely destroyed by the Demon Slayer team and was now letting her big brother take over the fight. This perfectly symbolizes the relationship between Daki and Gyutaro. Since they were born, Gyutaro has always been the protector that Daki could rely on. And while Tengen fights Gyutaro, there's this very specific shot of him which is almost identical to a shot of Rengoku during his fight against Akaza. It's almost as if the animators are paying their respects to Rengoku. But the animators decided to add in an even crazier Easter egg because if you look at both Tengen and Rengoku after their battles, they both lost an eye on the same side of their face. This was such a small detail that I actually missed it the first time around. But let's bring things to the next level and talk about even crazier Easter eggs. And there's nowhere better to start than the secret behind Gyutaro's green hair. It's easy to miss, but the color of his hair symbolizes how Gyutaro has been an extremely jealous person his entire life. And during his fight against Tanjiro, he wasn't even angry about the Demon Slayers injuring his sister. He was complaining about Tengen's good looks and his 3 wives the entire time. And see, Gyutaro's problems go much deeper than that. Because as a human, he was so starved that he was forced to eat insects and mice. And that's why his demon waist is so skinny. It symbolizes his extreme hunger when he was a human. And in an alternate universe, Gyutaro and Zenitsu might have actually been friends because both of them have one big thing in common. They got extremely upset that Tengen had 3 wives. Unfortunately, Zenitsu is a deadly demon slayer and Gyutaro is, well, dead. But Tanjiro and Rengoku both have an addiction to the same thing. And I think that Tanjiro would be proud to know that he has a lot more in common with Rengoku than he might think. Because when Rengoku was offered free food by some grateful merchant, he gladly accepted and then bought out the entire rest of their stock. And Tanjiro did something very similar when a farmer did him a favor. The farmer generously said that Tanjiro didn't need to repay him, but Tanjiro insisted on paying him back in full. Both Rengoku and Tanjiro are addicted to paying back their debt, and everyone can't stand owing favors to others. But that Demon Slayer moment is nothing compared to this JoJo Easter egg I found. This small YouTuber once said, "There's a JoJo reference in everything." And Demon Slayer is no exception, because check how this scene of Tanjiro is basically identical to the iconic JoJo meme. Honestly, this might make it into my list of top 10 coolest moments in Demon Slayer. But what also makes it into my top 10 coolest moments are Demon Slayer intros. Everybody skips anime intros, but in the Demon Slayer one, there are so many Easter eggs. And this scene is maybe one of the coolest. See, most of the faces are shaded, but as the anime progresses and introduces additional Hashira, more and more of these faces get unshaded. In episode 1, only Giyu's face is unshaded. In episode 20, you can see that Shinobu's face has also been unshaded. In episode 22, all but 2 faces have been unshaded. Those 2 faces are the Snake and Wind Hashira. But look at the Wind Hashira's face. He's almost as scary looking as Inosuke's war mask. And here's the thing, Inosuke has tried to act tough since the very first second he was introduced in the show. He's always yelling at everyone and even purposefully messes up Tanjiro's name. But in a couple of scenes during season 2, you can see that he puts his hand on Tanjiro's shoulder, almost like he trusts and likes Tanjiro. And in this season 1 scene, you can even see him holding the back of Tanjiro's shirt like he wants reassurance. And this all makes sense. Inosuke was raised by wild animals, so he's had very little social interaction, but craves attention and validation. As one fan said, Inosuke looks up to Tanjiro because Tanjiro treats him like an equal. You probably completely ignored Tengen's swords, but there's something really weird here. Unlike the rest of the Demon Slayers, he doesn't have a sheath for them. Instead, they're wrapped in cloth. And there's a reason that he doesn't have a sheath. Those swords are about the size of Tanjiro, so it wouldn't make sense to add the weight of a heavy sheath. Okay, things are starting to get pretty insane, because we're moving up into all the level 4 Easter eggs that I found. Like this Inosuke Easter egg that you definitely missed. See, in one of the episodes, Inosuke describes to Tanjiro the demons he's gone against. But if you pay attention, he's actually perfectly recreating 2 demon moons that died earlier in the show. In this scene, he looks just like Enmu, and during this scene, he looks just like Rui. But at least I caught that Easter egg, because one of the biggest inside jokes in Demon Slayer went completely over my head. See, I kept on getting comments about Rengoku being a donut, and I never understood what everybody was talking about. But when I was doing the research for this video, I finally understood the dark truth behind this joke. See, the only reason I didn't get the joke is because I wasn't subscribed to my own channel. I'm out here exposing myself in 4K. And if you don't subscribe as well, you'll never understand a joke ever again. But seriously, this joke about Rengoku being a donut comes from his fight with Akaza. See, the fight ended when Akaza slammed his fist through Rengoku's chest. This left a hole in Rengoku's chest and turned him into a donut. Listen, y'all, turning that into a meme is just disrespectful. And during that same fight between Rengoku and Akaza, something happens in the anime that was never in the original manga. You see, the animation team had a huge budget for the animation of this fight, and they wanted to throw in something cool. So they did this entire animation for Rengoku's 9th form of flame breathing, and we got this amazing scene. If you didn't look closely at Shinobu and Kano's clothing, you probably missed this next Easter egg. See, Shinobu and Kano's older sister, Kane, was killed by a demon. But what you guys probably didn't know is that both the younger sisters wear pieces of clothing from Kane's Hashira outfit. When Shinobu is introduced, we can see her wearing a plain colored haori. But during a fight against the spider demons, she's wearing her older sister's butterfly-style haori instead. And if you look closely at this scene, Kano is wearing a hairpin that her older sister used to wear. And the creator of Demon Slayer loves hiding little Easter eggs throughout his story, so I wasn't shocked when I found this super cool secret. See, there's something special about Enmu's eyes, and it's not the fact that one of them is marked with his demon moon status. It's the fact that his eyes are based off of Naruto's eyes when he enters stage mode. Can you see the resemblance? Okay, now we're down to the wildest Easter eggs in the entire show. And we got to start off with this shot of Rengoku. The writing on the back of his shirt is so deadly that it puts terror in the hearts of demons. See, this symbol actually means destroy or exterminate. The actual symbol in Japanese is called Metsu, which is part of the Demon Slayer's name in Japanese, Kimetsu no Yaiba. Dang, the Demon Slayers are so cool. So let's talk about one of the lamest characters in Demon Slayer, and I'm talking about Kyogai, the demon who was so weak that he got kicked out of the Demon Moons. And he's such a lame character that even his name is weak. See, his name literally means the coming of the boar in Japanese. And what makes this so lame is that the Kyogai arc is when we were all introduced to Inosuke. Inosuke. So I guess you could say that the sole purpose of Kyogai's character is to introduce Inosuke, our boar-headed friend. But listen, I was so confused when Tengen tried to kidnap one of the girls in this scene. See, they were all calling Tengen hentai. And while hentai is a very inappropriate form of anime in the United States, it actually means something completely different in Japan. So if you watch hentai, what does that make you? These Easter eggs have been crazy so far, but I did so much research that I found an Easter egg in the Korean dub of Demon Slayer. And in this Korean version, the man who voices Akaza also voiced the Korean SpongeBob. Now, I don't know about you, but that's just weird. What's even more disturbing is Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke's similarity to Tengen's wives. I just don't know what the writer was trying to do here. But Tanjiro and his friends actually have a secret similarity to characters from a completely different anime called Pokemon. Zenitsu looks like Pikachu, Inosuke looks like Mankey, and Tanjiro looks like Squirtle. Can you imagine if we had Pokemon in Demon Slayer? But let's rewind real quick. When Tanjiro and his homies first became Demon Slayers, they were all given crows that told them where their next mission would be. Well, everybody except Zenitsu. He got a much smaller and cuter bird, a sparrow. But the show didn't just give him a sparrow as a joke, there's actually a secret backstory behind the bird. Apparently the sparrow's family was killed by a demon, so now the sparrow wants to do whatever it can to help with the fight against Muzan and his demons. Listen, Demon Slayer is great and all, but I don't think that every living thing needs a sad backstory. Just let the birds be birds. But Demon Slayer is full of sad stories, so I 100% recommend you click on this video to learn how every demon moon died. Click it!